We welcome East Point members who are here in person as well as attending via our Zoom link. Thank you for joining us as we come together to talk about the present and the future of East Point. Here is the agenda for tonight. No. No. Guys. Oh, whoops. What? Oops. Okay, sorry about that. Here's the agenda for tonight. Before we talk about the agenda, I would like to take this moment to introduce the members of our Board of Governors. I am honored and privileged to work side by side with these wonderful people on the board. Lou Mancinelli, Chair of Long Range Planning, Vice President. Lisa Staller, Secretary, Chair of House Committee. Jackie Grasso, Treasurer, Budget and Finance. Bob Hughes, Budget and Finance. Jim Radigan, Green and Grounds and Social. Dan Calori, Golf. Karen Ridge, Membership and Marketing. Charles Lanigan, Legal and Grievance. And our social governor, Dan Mahan, could not be here tonight. He is traveling for work, but he did send us his presentation. When we met at our town hall in August, we reported that where all of our financial records were intact, monthly reporting needed to be recreated and processes built from the ground up. Jackie Grasso and Bob Hughes have spent considerable time and effort to create these processes and implement them to ensure that our monthly reports would be accurate and timely. While this work was ongoing, the board took a deliberate position to be fiscally responsible, to not spend any monies on any projects until we were confident that where we stood financially. Once we were assured that we stood on firm financial ground, did we undertake some capital projects that you have all seen transform, refresh the exterior of the East Clubhouse, and improve our member experience. We will go over all these projects in detail in our presentation tonight. Mike Holzer, our general manager, started in July and immediately went to work on a budget for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Areas were identified for savings. New line items were added to properly track expenses, and revenues were more accurate, expenses and revenues more accurately. Directors were intimately involved with creating their budgets for their departments and will be held accountable. We as a board see 2026 as a year of stability, accountability, and positivity. We are excited to communicate these updates to you tonight. I would now like to introduce our GM, Mike Holzer.
Dear members, I would like to take this moment to reflect on my time here at East Point Country Club and share how much I've enjoyed becoming part of this community. From the moment I arrived, I was welcomed with warmth, friendliness, and a genuine sense of belonging. That has made this experience truly, truly special to me. In membership, we have begun our direct peace mailing to neighboring affluent communities and are in the process of developing several social media campaigns focusing on our different membership offerings. We are also currently in the process of developing a full marketing plan, which encompasses all the amenities of East Point. These campaigns will help to exceed last year's final annual numbers. As far as food and beverage goes, some of the things that were found, food and beverage department at East Point experienced a significant loss, well over $1 million in the previous year. This substantial deficit is contributed to two primary factors. The first factor, payroll, as we all know, payroll cost and high cost of cost of sales. Payroll is consistently one of the largest expenses in the hospitality industry, particularly in food and beverage operations. The high cost of sales is another major contributor to the F&B department losses. Cost of sales represents the direct cost attributed to the production of goods sold by the club. As it relates to percentages, 16% of the dues will cover food and beverage loss this year in our budget, which is normally about the same for most private clubs. Last year, that number spanned 25 to 30%. Big number, big changes. Golf operations, and I see our guys in the back. Thank you for being here. I'm not sure where you are now, but thank you for being here. There you are, Josh and Chris. Thank you for attending. Golf operations, operational profitability is a crucial indicator of sound financial management. In any business, including country clubs, achieving a profit signifies that revenue exceeds expenses. Profitability allows for reinvestment in the club and debt reduction. The principles of financial management include revenue generation, cost control measures, and budgeting are universally applicable and are extensively covered in the business and management. In operations, we continue to show a profit in golf, and golf clinics and junior academies are just around the corner. This will help engage our membership once again, like we've talked about before in the past. This will help get our membership involved in the golf operations. I know some of us are involved in just about everything, which I love to see. For being here tonight. The team is really, really amped and fired up and ready to start the season. So as I look ahead, I'm excited to see what the future holds for East Point. I will continue to work closely with our staff and hold all of us accountable for producing a member-first culture. And I know I said member first several times in our first meeting together, and I'm going to say it again a couple more times. But producing the member-first culture is what allows us to take the next step in the evolution of this club. And together, and only together, we can do anything. Thank you.
Okay, club financial update presented by Jackie Grasso.
Hello, everyone. Some of you may not recognize me this evening. Just saying, it is me. Okay, going to start off with my usual spiel. This is financial information with nomenclature most people are familiar with. These are not financial statements with the proper wording for a not-for-profit entity. Packages are available in the back for the slides that we are presenting today. First slide is a summary of where we are at 9/30/2025. Total revenue from all sources is a little over 15 million. Total expenses are approximately the same to have an operating income at the end of September year to date of $79,000. Far cry from where we were last year, earlier this year. And we'll get into that a little bit more as I go on. A summary of capital reserves. We started at 1.5 million. We've added 3 million from our normal monthly capital, initiation fees, transfer fees, interest income, and so forth. Use of funds, as Cynthia mentioned, we kept discretionary spending to a minimum from our capital in order to see where we were exactly at the end of September. So we have almost double the balance, actually more than double the balance of what we had at the start of the year. So our capital reserve is healthy at this point. Beginning in June, as Cynthia discussed, we brought in John Brown, and continuing on with our new COO, GM Mike, great strides have been made in bringing costs under control and implementing control procedures. And as a result, through September, again, our net operating income after other income and expenses is $79,000. While October is historically a month where we don't have a profit. October is usually a loss. It's the start of the year. We have a lot of expenses bringing in our international help and so forth, but we don't anticipate losing significant traction from where we are at 9/30. The closing of October is approximately 75% complete. The audit will begin on time and finish within our bylaw requirements and also in compliance with our bank covenants. So here's the detail that makes up our September numbers. We've included our year-end audited numbers as October 31st, just to give you some perspective as to where we are at 9/30. Not going to go through this line by line, just going to make note of a few things. Food and beverage, we have a net loss of $2.4 million. Most of that damage was done earlier in the year. And again, because of implementation from John Brown, Mike, the directors, everyone participating in bringing in our expenses under control, because as we said at the prior town hall, revenue was not our problem. Expenses were our problem. Overspending was our problem. Redundancy was our problem. And all of those things are now being mitigated. Same thing with our other operating expenses. We broke out in this fiscal year clubhouse maintenance separate from general and admin. But if you combine those two numbers, you'll see it's close to where we were last year at the end of the audit. Again, most of the expenses in there were earlier in the year. We were able to, again, bring those costs down in the last few months, and we will continue to see that as we go forward. So our net operations income at September 30th is $124,000. Then you factor in miscellaneous income. The majority of that money is escrow money that was returned to us because of the land sale from years ago. And our interest expense on our operational debt only, $87,000, brings us to a net other expenses of $45,000. And again, reiterates our net operating income of $79,000. This is our non-operating revenue, initiation fees, monthly capital, assessments, interest income, and transfer fees for a total of $3.5 million. Non-operating expenses would include depreciation. That number will go up significantly, but it's a non-cash item as we close the year out, update our fixed asset schedules and so forth. Interest on our capitalized debt, $380,000. Our greens equipment leases, so that's a new line item for this year. The board had voted that that would come out of capital. We didn't have any, last year we cleaned up our fixed assets a lot. There were assets that were on the books that we didn't have anymore. We didn't have the West Clubhouse. We didn't have things associated with there. So that was all cleaned up. So total non-operating expenses of 1.5, combining non-operating income with non-operating expenses, you have almost $2 million. So our total income overall is about $2 million. This is our balance sheet as of September 30th. As you could see, we're in a good cash situation. AR is historically runs approximately the same. Inventory is higher, and the reason for that is we started keeping track of Greens inventory, that's chemicals and fertilizers. We had not been doing that in prior years. Prepaid expenses is again in line with where we were last year. It's prepaid insurance and so forth. Net fixed assets, no significant change. We didn't do much this year. Other assets would be security deposits and other non-current assets. Total assets of $37 million. Accounts payable and accrued expenses, mostly payroll, sales tax. Our current portion of debt and leases is $830,000. Deposits and deferred revenue. Deferred revenue is because we have 2 months in advance on our dues. So the first month of dues that was billed this past September pertains to November of 2025. So all of that is classified as deferred income. The Greens project long-term debt is $3.2 million, and the remaining of our long-term debt and leases is almost $6 million. Our total equity is $23 million, and our total liabilities and equity, which agrees with our total assets, is $37 million. Capital reserves, as we discussed on the very first slide, we had an opening balance of $1.5 million. Our uses of funds would be capital projects, debt service at the point, the Greens equipment leases. Sources of funds come from monthly capital, initiation fees, and transfer and interest income. So brings us to a bottom line of $3.4 million in our capital reserves as of September 30th. Everyone always asks about our debt balances. These shows our these does not include leases, but our $2.6 million that we refinanced back in 2021, that balance is now a little over $2 million. In January of 2023, this was debt that we incurred due to the point, $5 million. We are now, principal balance is $4.3 million. The gym equipment was $420,000. That was financed. That is now down to $175,000. And the East Course renovation, that's new debt in 2025, started at $3.3 million. We're down to about $3.2 million. And we also show the maturity dates. As things progress and we get in a better financial position, the goal would be to bring down our debt in advance. This is a copy of our summary budget. This is on the website for you to review. Sorry. Dues were budgeted based on gaining approximately 50 golf members for the 2025-2026 season. That equates to approximately $500,000 in dues. But the point is, even if we only brought in one person or if we didn't bring in any, we would still be profitable from a budgetary standpoint for 2025-2026. As previously noted in our last town hall, it was an expense issue that we had. It was not a revenue issue. This budget was prepared on the basis of director input, eliminating redundancy, unnecessary spending, and implementing control procedures. And because of all of that, we've been able to bring the bottom line under control, both from a budgetary standpoint and as you could see where we are at September 30th. As already discussed, it's important to note club benchmarking provided some valuable statistics for comparing our 2025-2026 budget to other clubs of similar size, and that's in 3 key areas. Dues revenue as a percentage of overall operating revenue. We are at 66% in our budget. The average is 65%. Payroll costs as a percentage of operating expense. We are at 59% budgeted. Average is 60%. F&B subsidy as a percentage of dues. We are at 16%, which is also average for a club of our size. The budget will be monitored closely every month with timely financial reporting to ensure we stay on top of our finances throughout the coming year. And that brings Membership and marketing. Thank you.
Membership and marketing presented by Karen Kittredge.
So, hi, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Karen Kittredge. I was newly elected to the board with Chuck Lanigan in January. So based on the presentations that we're seeing, we're moving in the right direction, right? This is all very positive news that we're here to share with you today, and everybody should be very excited about that. The last presentation that you all saw, given the information that we had at the time, provided a much bleaker picture than the presentation that Jackie just shared with you. And, you know, Chuck and I think were elected partially to bring some practical business experience to the board and help get the club moving in the right direction. When we got into the board and we got underneath the processes, et cetera, I will share personally, my personal opinion, there was a startling lack of business process, business discipline, and accountability here. Seeing that, this Board of Governors rolled up our sleeves and dug in. And we dug in to help restore or develop business operations and bring fundamentals to the table so that there's a roadmap and a framework for future boards so that we can continue this very positive trajectory that we're sharing here with you tonight. In my previous life, we would have called this something as major as a transformation or a turnaround. This is very, very significant work, and this is a very significantly different position that we are talking to you about today than we talked to you about just a few months ago. And you all should be very, very pleased with the presentations that you're getting today, particularly the financial presentations, and kudos really to Budget and Finance, Jackie and Bob, because and the team, because it was yeoman's work to get all of this squared away, and then to also, on top of it, bring in a budget that we will now be monitoring on a regular basis and bringing appropriate business discipline and accountability to. So we're starting to see real benefits, right? You're starting to see, we, as Jackie said, as Cynthia said, we took a very deliberate position as a board not to spend money until we knew what our financial position was. Now that we're comfortable with where we are, you're starting to see things, and there are more things to come. So you're starting to see changes to the clubhouse. There are other things that will be shared by other presenters, so I don't want to steal their thunder, but really good things are happening here. But we're not done yet. There's a lot to do. There's a lot more business process to dig under. There's a lot more work for us to really create the stability that Cynthia talked about. But it's remarkable progress, and we really need to thank all of the committees. Each of us run a committee, and all of us have 10-ish people on our committees. They're volunteers among the membership. They bring your point of view into the committees that we are all on, and we owe them a debt of thanks for the work that they do with us generally on a monthly basis. So if you are sitting on a committee, thank you. If you know someone who's on a committee, you should thank them. So me personally, I'm very optimistic about where we're going. And we really have an ability to kind of reach out and get much closer to the potential of this club in the direction that we're moving in. So to do that, to continue to move forward and continue to grow, membership is a crucial, if we could go back to the slides, membership is a crucial element here, right? So membership is the lever that we have to bring more revenue into the club. So our dues, the dues that we all pay, are the monies that are applied to operations, right? So the more members we have, the more money we have to apply to operations. So as we start this season, this is where we are. So we have a total of 1,047 members, and you can see how they're broken out across all of our membership. And in our golf membership, you can see that we had some resignations and downgrades, but we also had upgrades we converted summer membership, and we sold a bunch of full golf. So we actually have ended up with, we're going to start the year with 539 full golf, 539 golf members, which is a slight increase from where we started the year previously. That's great progress because the reports that you were getting previously were significant losses of members. So we have turned the corner. We're moving in the right direction. To do that, we are creating programs. So you all may remember we had a summer preview program for members, right? And this is the outcome of that program. So we let folks come in the summer and play and go to the point and buy food and do all that, right? We had 27 people who did that, and you can see how all of their funding was applied. So we created a program where we converted 3 of those 27. We'd like that number to be a little higher, but 11% of the people who came became full golf members. And importantly, they spent more than $400,000 to come here, play golf, and enjoy all of our amenities. These are the kinds of programs you're going to see more of. We also upgraded our website. So both the external side of the website and the internal side, which is the side that we log into to do a lot of our stuff, that's all been updated with new technology and different messaging, different imaging. And we've had a 37% increase in our website interactions since we made that change. We're upgrading and increasing our social media outreach. Just this month, we've increased that outreach by 6%. We have new marketing materials. And in all of this, we're elevating the positioning with a focus on the vibrancy of the club, right? We're turning a corner, and the vibrancy of our club is a really critical element to us continuing to have success. So what's coming? Well, we're going to have we're underway with a seasonal preview membership, which means we're going to allow people to come test us out during the season. We're doing 3 sessions with 5 individuals per session. So a total over the whole season of 15 people. This slide says we sold 10. We actually sold one today. So we sold 11 for closer to $70,000. And the January session is sold out. The March session now only has 1 person available. We will look at this program. We will assess it. We'll see how many people we convert on it. And it's important to note that if you participate in this program, you can only do it once. We will not let you come back and do it again. So it's a one-time look. And it's really focused on people who may be moving into the area and want to test out the club, want to understand what we have here, have heard about us and aren't sure, have never heard about us and want to see what's going on. So you're going to see more programs like this to try to bring in these members, right? And as Jackie said, and on my previous slide, 50 is the number of members that we want to bring to you at the end of this membership year. So we'll be doing new social media campaigns. We're going to have engagements with developers. We're going to have engagements with realtors, right? So that's what we're doing from a technology perspective. That's what we're doing from a tools perspective. That's what the sales team inside the staff is going to be doing. But it takes a village. We're all in this together. So the question is, what can you do? How can you help? How can you help us drive this club closer to the potential that we all want to see? And the answer is, we're all ambassadors of East Point Country Club. We're all here because we love it here. And so the way that you engage with each other and with people outside of East Point is important. Word of mouth is one of the most powerful tools that we have. And you may be speaking to someone who will speak to someone who will speak to someone who will tell them what you have said about our club. So if everybody could really think about that as they're talking with themselves, as they're talking to themselves, not with, well, maybe with themselves, but to themselves, and talking to others, you are our biggest asset. You as ambassadors can push us over the edge of getting our 50 members. and I know I can count on you to help us out. So that's it for me. And now we're going to go over to Lou for capital projects.
Good evening, everybody. I've got the pleasure to update you on our capital projects. As you saw, if you think back, after many years of really not having enough capital to really maintain the club and to improve the club, we've made significant progress in building capital reserves to $3.5 million, and we have plans in the future to continue to grow that. I think the change all started when you think about it, when we built the Point. It's a fabulous resort style and fun place. We've renovated the East Golf Course. We renovated the driving range as well as the practice area. Now we have a fabulous and very marketable, great golf course that can compete with anybody in the area. This year we will continue that. We already have even a kids clubhouse that's been very successful in implementation. So what's next? Last August, at the town hall, I shared this slide, which was saying what we had planned. At that time, we said we needed to change our focus and take a look at the clubhouse, which was tired and needed some refreshment. We started with the exterior, and at that time we talked about repairing windows, rotted woods, siding, painting, and replacing the deck around the pro shop. And then I said at this meeting I would update you on what's next as far as the interior goes. So what have we done? Well, all those projects that we started are now complete. The clubhouse has been painted. The deck replaced around the pro shop. It looks great with the black railing. We painted the entranceway a brighter color. It's more dramatic when you enter the club. It matches very nicely the new color scheme with the stonework on the entranceway. The deck is much more natural around the pro shop. That was really falling apart. If you remember, it became a safety issue. We will also replace the deck off the grill room in the next couple of years, but that was not in that dire condition at that point, but that is still in the plans. And as you take a look from our fine finishing holes and look back at that clubhouse with a new paint job, doesn't it look pretty good? I think it looks excellent. So what's next? We went to a interior design firm and said to help us with the plans for the interior now to refresh the clubhouse. And AES Interiors is the group that we are working with. So what's the first impression is walking into the lobby. So we now have a brand new color scheme in there. We're going to lighten it up and make it much brighter. We've taken the reception desk and moved that to the left as you come in, and we've moved the seating over to the right. Where the reception desk was, we will put a big flat screen TV. So that will be used to welcome you as you walk into the entranceway. I think it's 85 inches or so. So it's going to be good as far as being able to welcome you. It's also going to be an information system. We will take and put 3 other screens up, a total of 4, to provide information on what's coming events, as well as renderings of new projects and plans we have going forward. We are brightening up the interior. The hallway will have a wall covering put on that. Behind the TV, that's a metal facing, which really looks quite sharp in person. The next thing is we want to focus on how we can generate additional revenue from this building as a catering facility. So where should we change our focus? We will do these in separate projects so that we can do it in stages and control the costs as well as lack of disruption to the building. So the first focus is this room that you're sitting in right now, the dining area. We get rid of this, I don't know what you call this carpet. But it, but we're going to brighten that up with these Milliken carpet tiles. They're very neutral colored, very bright. It looks beautiful when you see it in person. The slides don't do it justice, but I think that will make a big change. We're going to redo the painting in here. We're going to lighten it up, get rid of the dark wood. All the ceiling tiles will be replaced. The lighting will all be updated and upgraded. And I think it'll be a place where a bride would come in and say, I want to have my wedding in here. So I think it really looks great. And we have lots of other slides, but I'm just going to give you a quick overview tonight. From there, we will go to the grill room. Again, we're going to change the flooring to a similar type of tile, that same family. We're going to change all the colors in there and make it much brighter. We're going to get rid of the popcorn ceiling. If you take a look at the bar there in the picture, the old outdated tile that's there will be replaced with a metal facing. It's a copperish finish. It looks really sharp. That will also be on the wall adjacent going into the ladies' card room, where we have that serving station. The same material will be placed overlaying on the tile. All the lighting will change in there, and it really, I think, will have a dramatic effect. We will also be able to close off the bar and with a divider between the two rooms, so we can sell this as a separate space for events. So I think that's going to make a dramatic change. The next place we will focus is the ladies' card room. Again, a very similar tile on the carpet to that same family, so that all flows throughout the entire building. We will repaint the room and the doors in there. The serving stations will be totally remodeled and refreshed. We will get rid of those lights that are in there and put really beautiful gold and white chandeliers and gold soffits in there. I think it's going to look really terrific. Next, after that, we will look at the locker rooms. Those are non-revenue, so they're kind of at the end of the process, and we probably get those done over the summer. The challenge that we have now is we're getting the costs, and we're going to schedule these, and we have to work with the event calendar that's going on and see what we can do and how quickly we can do it. So now it's really getting the finalized costs and then getting the schedule and working with the event team to see how fast we can get that done. That's not all. We've got some other interesting things that we got going on. So I thought I'd give you a sneak preview of some other projects that we're working on. First impressions are very important. So you're going to fix this building up. Before you get here, you got to go through that parking lot. Well, that parking lot had overgrown trees. The roots had overgrown the area, broken up the asphalt. It was really a tripping hazard out there. So if you've been out there lately, you'll see the change. The trees are gone. We ground down all the stumps. The next, we have now are in the permit process to do a repaving and restriping of the parking lot. So that we're working with a contractor on that. He's getting us the permits. They do close the asphalt factories in December. So this will probably be a January project. We're hoping to be able to do that in stages again to minimize disruption. But I think that will make a great first impression when you come in. Many of you use the driving range. You may have seen a strange apparatus at the other end. Many of you know what that is, but that is a cover for the driving range. Thanks to Jim Radigan's relationship with some other clubs, we found someone that had almost a brand new cover that really didn't work well for their facility. They wanted to get rid of it. So we picked it up for next to nothing. And all we had to do was to pay to disassemble it, move it, and reassemble it here. What we're waiting for now is a new cover. This should be coming in the next couple of weeks. And we hope to have this on the driving range for giving you shade in the summer and maybe when it's raining too hard, a place to hit the ball. So I think that'll be a great improvement that we should get in before the end of the year. We're not done. You've heard of a halfway house that we've talked about for I don't know how many years of getting something set up. Where we're going to put the halfway house is this is the east course. If you're in the staging area, the picture to the left is the current water station. Directly adjacent to that, across under that big tree, is an area that we're going to clear out and put, finally, a halfway house. This is a trailer that we are currently under construction. It's really beautiful with the wraparound. We have a customized East Point wraparound that's going to go around the trailer. It'll have a grill, so you have hamburgers, hot dogs, a fryer for fries. You're going to have pre-made sandwiches. You're going to have snacks. You're going to have sodas and maybe a few alcoholic beverages. So you can grab a bag of beers for the back nine. So finally, we'll get this in place. It may be delivered as soon as next week. Then we have to outfit it a bit, get the inventory, get the staff trained, but it's coming. So we'll hopefully have that in very, very soon. So hopefully you find that as exciting as I do to see the progress that we're making. I think there's significant projects that are either in the execution stage, as we just talked, or in the planning stages. And we have a plan that goes out through 2030. I think this is, as Karen said, there's a lot of positive momentum, I think, going on with the club. At the same time, we're being fiscally responsible. We held off doing this, for a year to make sure we had the funds in place to be able to do this responsibly. And I think we've done that, and we're building those capital funds going forward. To ensure that happens, we are also going to commission a reserve study. Mike has already contacted a couple of companies. We're going through their proposals, and this will be done very shortly. So we'll be able to come back and have a long-range plan with what we need to replace equipment as it reaches the end of its life expectancy. So I think you all should be pretty proud of this club and where we're going. I had friends from New Jersey here last night. I took them to the point at night, and they were just blown away. I've had friends that we've come out and played the course. And they think it's spectacular. I think, as Karen said, we all need to become ambassadors. We got to stop the negative talk. We got to stop looking for things to complain about and be proud of what we've done and where we're going. That will ensure our future. Thank you. I do have one other thing that I think on that positive frame of what's happening that I wanted to share with you. You all know about Play for Pink. Well, we recently got the final results of that. Now, what you may not know is Laura Lastman, who started Play for Pink, and it's now a national effort. Nobody does Play for Pink like East Point. It's an event, it's a little golf outing, not like East Point. East Point is unbelievable. Not only do you have the golf event, we've got a pickleball event, we've got a walkathon. We even had Marjan involved this time around. We have off-site shopping. We run auctions, we do raffles. It's really quite an amazing effort. And I'm happy to announce the results of your efforts and to thank all of you. We raised $85,000 this year. So now that comes with a lot of effort. There's a committee that works tirelessly for several months to pull that off. And if you don't mind, I'd like to recognize the members of that committee. And if they're here, they can certainly stand up and take some applause. Mo Bruce Gilbert, Carrie Harstead, Athena Lynn, Monica Sika, Valerie Duckrow, Evie O'Day, Nancy Doherty, Sandy Lanigan, and somebody called Tracy Mancinelli. So thank you very much. Sorry. Where am I supposed to? There we go. Okay, Jim.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to see everybody tonight. My name is Jim Radigan. I currently serve as the Greens Committee Chair. If we haven't met, I've been a resident and a golf member at East Point Country Club for 5 years. In my previous career, I served as a golf course superintendent and later as a general manager. Today, I serve as an agronomy consultant. Agronomy consultant basically here in South Florida. I'm working with more than 60 clubs in some capacity, along with some additional properties around the country, most of them very high-end operations. On most days, I'm visiting 3 to 4 different private clubs, speaking directly with superintendents about their daily challenges and successes, and I get to hear every day what is going on with the courses in South Florida. I also currently serve as on the Palm Beach Superintendent's chapter board. I really enjoy sharing what I can and spending time to make the golf courses here the best they can be. And I'm very proud of where we're headed. As a Greens chairman, my role really comes down to 2 key responsibilities: communicating the membership's expectations to the superintendents and agronomy team, and ensuring our agronomy team has the resources they need from the board to meet those expectations. I'd like to take a minute to introduce our superintendents, Chris Thatcher on the East Course and Josh Martin. Both of these gentlemen have fully embraced their roles and take tremendous pride in the conditioning and presentation of the golf courses you play every day. Our goal is simple. At the end of the day, we want East Point to be known as one of the best clubs in the area. East Point's golf course conditioning will be firmly recognized as one of the best in the area. How do we compare to our neighbors? Private clubs in the Palm Beach area. The average budget of a multi-course facility for 2025 was about $120,000 per hole. This year, our budget has us to $94,000. So every year the board has been investing more and more money, and we're slowly getting up to that where we want to be as far as the investment in the golf courses. A few more members, and we're going to be there. So how do we get to our goal? Efficient operations, highest quality agronomic programs, techniques, and methods, prudent, responsible spending, smart staffing, and targeted agronomic practices that drive visible results, prioritize investment where it matters most, the playing surfaces. Our philosophy, playability, healthy turf, wall to wall. Right now, the guys are getting the course ready for the season. They had a bulk application of fertilizer going out wall to wall. The course is playing great. We're going to try to get the fairways a little bit more cushiony to get the ball, so you can get the ball underneath the club. So that's something in progress. And once we get wall-to-wall coverage, our goal is to be firmer and faster, get some more rollout. And our philosophy is we want to irrigate the golf course to be one rainstorm from perfect. So it'll a little bit be dry here and there, but when we get the rain, we'll be perfect and we won't be too wet. The greens, obviously the most important part of the golf course. Want them to be true, smooth, consistent surfaces, speeds between 10.5 and 12. I believe on the East course, we've been about 11.5 over the last couple of weeks. And it's weather dependent. If we've got cloudy skies and we've got rain, they're going to be closer to 10, 10.5. If it's beautiful days and there's no weather, it's going to be faster. And it's also course dependent. We've got new greens on the east, older greens on the west. So, the east greens will probably be a little bit faster. We're going to try to make them as close as we can, though. Some of the processes the guys have been implementing weekly. Again, we're doing what every other club in the area is doing, top of the line, verticutting, top dressing. We got some additional heavy rollers to help smooth some of the greens out. We're using growth regulators, a very balanced fertility and moisture program on the greens to give you guys the best greens in town. The bunkers, they're not just a part of the golf course. They're very important. Everybody gets in the traps and you want to have consistent lies and want to be able to get out of it. The guys have spent significant time on the golf courses to make them consistent. Clean, sharp edges, consistent sand depths, 2 to 3 inches on the slopes. And I don't know if you can see in the picture there's a golf ball that hit the slope and rolled to the bottom. The way the guys are managing the traps with 2 to 3 inches on the sand and packing the edges so the balls can roll to the bottom, and we reduce the number of fried eggs and plug lies. Also, the fairway bunkers, the guys are treating them a little bit differently. They're going to be a little bit firmer, so you can hit the longer irons out of them, 5 irons and 6 irons, and be able to get a good shot out of it. Not to go through everything, but the guys have been just busy. They have a list of projects going. They're chipping through it quickly. They trimmed over 400 trees. You can see the pictures there of all the material they brought out of the fairways. They removed palmettos, painted the bridges, reset the depths of the bunkers, and drainage is one of our priorities right now. We want to try to get this golf course, and when we get rainstorms, we're not closing the course down or having plug lies. So we've added drainage on 10, 13, and 15. We're going to do 12 on the east. We're also tackling the number 1 fairway on the right side on the west. And even today, they were working really hard on 17 fairway to get that one cleaned up. And a lot of roots and stuff like that clogging the pipes, and they're working diligently on it. One of the processes, again, here, the thatching is one of the things that we heard that the guys were able to attack on the west golf course. We had a lot of comments about the collars being puffy, and people had a hard time putting off of it and getting their club stuck, and it wasn't a good playing surface. So at the end of the summer, the guys went out and you can see all the dethatching they did there. They removed all that material, and now you can see you got a nice smooth transition where you can putt your ball off, and next year I think it'll be a little bit better. Ongoing projects, just kind of go through a couple of them. Obviously, we want to get a healthy grass wall to wall, so we got good lies no matter where our ball goes. Talked about the drainage, the root pruning around all the trees. So when your ball goes under a tree, the grass, is a little bit healthier. And we want to improve the aesthetics. Once we get the golf courses in shape, we want to improve the aesthetics around the clubhouses, around the tee boxes. Frame the picture, they call it. Make it when you're playing the hole, everything looks great. And they got a lot of stuff we're going to be working on. We have a planned project for the bridge out here on 18 to really make that, really class it up. And the driving range tee, in the driving range area, the whole experience there. We're going to have an ice machine over there. We're going to improve the targets over there. So we're hoping to get the practice experience a lot better. And a little bit of pride for East Point. I don't know if any of you heard this, but East Point has been selected to host the South Florida US Open qualifier next year. So we'll have some of the world's best here going out on this golf course you play every day. We'll see how they do. And that's everything. Thank you very much, and play well.
Now we have social and dining updates by our social governor, Dan. Dan's not here tonight. He's traveling for work, but he sent us his presentation, so please bear with me.
Hello, everyone. This is Dan Mann, the social representative on the Board of Governors. I wish I could be there with you all tonight, but I want to highlight my excitement for the participation we've already seen this season and the great events ahead as the 2025-2026 season kicks into full gear. From weekly activities to special events, it's been wonderful to see members of all ages connecting and enjoying life at East Point. This is only a short list of everything happening, so be sure to visit the scorebook on the East Point website for all the details. One new amenity for this season I want to personally highlight is the Kids Clubhouse. Its opening has truly exceeded expectations. Every Kids Night event has sold out. The space is being used constantly, and it's been a really fun energy to the community. As a parent of a 7 and 4-year-old who absolutely love going, I've seen firsthand how much joy and connection it can bring to families across East Point. During one Kids Night event, my wife and I enjoyed dinner and drinks at the point, where we met at least 5 other families who were doing the same. If you have kids, grandkids, or great-grandkids who have not yet had an opportunity to visit the space, I encourage you to check it out. Tara and the staff have done an amazing job creating a fun, safe, and welcoming environment for our youngest community members. Another area that's seen great momentum this season is dining. From holiday events to weekly specials, turnout has been strong and we've received a lot of positive feedback from members. The teams at the Point and the East Clubhouse have been doing an excellent job refining menus and creating a really enjoyable experience. We're excited for the events coming up and appreciate everyone's continued support and feedback. I'm sorry again that I can't be with you all tonight, but I look forward to seeing you around the club soon.
Next, we have Chuck Lanigan with some proposed bylaw amendments.
Yeah, I have a very brief presentation, but one thing I wanted to, because we've talked about this before, but one of the things I just want to highlight, though, is the nature of a club like this to sustain success. Because if you heard and enjoyed the presentations like I did about what's been accomplished on the financial front and in other areas of the club, we felt like we were in a semi-emergency situation at the beginning of the year and have had this pretty fabulous turnaround. But once you've achieved some stability, maintaining stability over a period of time is a very, very important element that needs to be built into how we work together and what happens is the vast majority of people, in fact, everyone except for our the GM is a volunteer up here. And we turn over elections. People serve 3-year terms and there's constant turnover. And so what really happens is it's very easy to lose the thread of what the rules are supposed to be or how we work with each other. And it's very, very easy to lose our way. And then all of a sudden we find, oh my gosh, we're in a situation where we have to grab control again. So the rules of governance, the bylaws are obviously a big part of that, is intended to set the framework or the foundation for how we interact with each other, what we keep track of, how we communicate, how we work together, how you make change. And it can get complicated and it can get messy. So it's important that we stay on top of it. So one of the things that has been a goal for us is to establish a process where we have greater oversight and continuity in how we're actually engaging in the mechanics of running a club like this. We put in governance rules. You can see them on the site. I mentioned that last time I talked to you. That was a major, major step in that direction. But keeping up with the bylaws is also another big part of this. So one of the things and you start kind of where you're at, right? We take an assessment and say, okay, what improvements need to be made? What updates need to be made? And how do we really set the stage to be successful going forward? So basically, we're going to be putting bylaw changes forward. And they're going to, the election, you're going to hear about this in just a second. We're switching over to electronic voting so that I think that'll be a lot more efficient, a lot easier for people. You're going to hear more detail on that in just a minute. But we're switching over to that. And one of the first things that we're going to do is make certain changes in the bylaws. there's been a whole bunch of them that have accumulated over time that we know need to be done. And quite frankly, it's just too many to try and put through without making it a deadening experience, or people would just give up on it, so we're going to have to break it into some pieces. We tried to pick the most important, but some of the things you're going to see, and we'll send out detailed of what the changes are, an explanation. So when you make your decision and vote, we need a 60% vote to make these changes effective. But you'll be able to see what they are, read the explanation, and hopefully you'll agree with us that these are important changes for the club. And an example, so for instance, what happens is you get certain dollar amounts. When you have to run the club, there's certain things that need to get approved by the finance committee before you can spend the money. And then there's other things where you have to get the members before you can spend the money. Well, if you don't keep up those numbers and just refresh them periodically, they get out of date, and actually they inhibit the smooth operation of the club if they're not kept up to date. That's also, you're going to see some updates in the number thresholds of existing rules in the bylaws. Another thing is there's certain things, operational experience that people have run into. So one of the things that is likely to be put out there, and we have to confirm it tomorrow at the board meeting, is that in order to be president of the club, that you should have had at least a year's experience on the board, so that we have people who really get a chance to get their feet wet and how the club absolutely operates before they take on a very important role like that. And some other things along those lines. And then there's also just cleaning up language. We've had new agreements with the HOA, and other types of things have occurred over the past few years. We just need to clean up the language. So that's basically it. You're going to see it. It's electronic voting, and it's part of setting a framework to manage the club without us ever having any backpedaling on what's been accomplished this year. Thanks.
Electronic voting presented by Lisa Stoller.
Hello again, everyone. I was on the phone with a few different electronic voting companies, and the one that we're actually working with now, I don't know how many of you lived here, it's 20 or so. Yeah, I guess it was 20 years ago now. Remember the pregnant Chads? Yeah, yep. Yeah, Chads, all of those Chads, right? So the gentleman I'm working with at this company started the electronic voting process shortly after all of that. So he knew exactly where we were and where we lived. So I feel pretty good that what the technology that they have is going to be really good for all of us. So the name of the company is called Votegrity. They've been in business for over 20 years now. They will use the tabulation and archiving process that our bylaws expect. So they work with clubs, they work with HOAs, they work with POAs, anybody, they do have some public sector voting that they take care of as well. So whatever our rules are, that's how it'll be set up through the setup process with them. What it's going to do is simplify and streamline the election process. It's going to save a lot of time. And anybody that has either been a prior secretary of the board or has been a volunteer to count all of those ballots the day of and during the election and all of that, that time will go away. And, certain depending on your membership, you have a different level of vote. It's all that's going to be taken into consideration in the technology. So what does this look like for you guys? We are going to have information coming out directly from us as well as Votegrity. So their responsibilities are to design and create and manage the election for us. They're going to send out election notices and the ballot packets via email. We're going to have access to the online ballots for all voters. So technically, yes, they can use proxies, but they find that they don't have to very often because everybody has access usually to their email. So if there is somebody that needs a proxy, yes, that can still be taken care of. There will be notifications on how to vote, and everybody will have their own unique voting credentials. So it'll be very secure, and they will know that 6939 is for the Stoller House, and we get one vote. And, they'll know everything by the collection of data that we work with them on. They will collect all the ballots themselves while we're going, the voting will open just like normal. And then while we're in our annual meeting, they're going to be finalizing the rest of the votes. So during that meeting, they will be finished and they will certify the election for us. They will replace any ballots, and if anybody has any technical questions, it's going to be handled through their help desk. They'll have tracking and reporting on all key election statistics. Everybody that hasn't voted will continue to get a reminder until they do vote. They will handle the tabulation of all of our ballots remotely, and then they will certify our election, and they will send it to me during the meeting, and then we'll be able to present the results at the meeting. Based on our bylaws and how long we need to archive, they will handle the archiving of that as well. So one of the questions that always gets asked is, how secure is it and what information do they have? So I had to look this word up. They use what's called cryptography to be able to, they protect the ballots and the integrity of the election through this. And it's the ability to perform computations on encrypted data without decrypting it. A lot of math going on in that, but that's how everything will remain secure. All right, and what I asked them to do is to send a demo. So I took some screenshots so we could kind of give you an idea of what this is going to look like. So as I mentioned, everybody will have their own PIN to log in. So you'll obviously put your PIN in, click the login. It'll give you some directions. And this is really where it gets nice. So as you know, at the annual meeting, we're going to be voting for a new board members. Everybody bios will be online. And you will just basically click next to their name where it reads more info. You will click there and their entire bio will pop up. On this example here, it'll tell you to vote for 2. I can tell you now for ours, they're going to be looking for 4 votes. It's not going to let you go. If you only click on 2, it's going to give you an error out. You need to click 4 because, as you know, even when we were doing paper, if you did not click off however many names, it was invalid. So this will keep everybody's votes valid. Obviously, we don't have any write-ins here, so that won't be there. When it comes to the amendments and all the changes, it will, again, at the more info area, you click on there and it'll go through what Chuck was just talking about a little bit ago. What is the amendment? What are the changes? What does that look like in plain English? And then you can vote either for it or against it right online. You'll hit review all when you're done. And this is how you know your vote was cast and it was successful. You will get this vote here, or this screen here, and then you're done. If you want to change your vote, it's okay. If your wife goes in or your husband goes in behind you, they will only take 1 vote and it will be the last vote. So I just, encourage everybody to speak to your spouses before, you don't want to have any internal fighting at the house. So, and that is it. So should be pretty easy.
That concludes the Board of Governors presentation. We will now take questions and answers, or questions, and we'll hopefully have the answers from the floor.
I have a question about our capital fund, 10% that goes with our dues every month. Is that money used for operating expenses at all, or is it only for capital? Okay. there has been some borrowing again. We have no borrowing, so capital is pure, nothing's been used for operation. Great. And just one other question about the change in bylaws. Will there be a meeting where these bylaws will be presented and we have an opportunity to ask questions and discuss?
These are run by the board of directors. They've gone through twice. So several of them were done in the prior board last year. And then we'll be going over it with the board as well to put the things on the.
Right, but my question is the ones that we're going to be voting on, will there be a meeting where members have an opportunity to ask questions or discuss the changes?
We've never done that before.
How we did it last year is we presented the bylaw, we presented the original bylaw, we presented the revision, and then we explained in plain English, not legalese, how this would affect us and what the changes were. So there would not be a meeting, okay?
Hi, I'm Don Genazzo. I want to speak as a unofficial representative of all of the married resident club members of East Point. My wife and I have been members of the club for 13 years. And for the last 5 years, due to her bad back, I've been the only one who has been playing golf. And during that period of time, I was the only one paying into the participation fund, and I was the only one paying a trail fee. And this board, I think last year, attempted to change the rules on the participation fund so that both of us had to pay into it. I wrote an email. I don't know if as a result of that, it changed, but you did not put that change into effect last year. But you have put the trail fee. Now we're paying for a family trail fee. And by your own rules, the club's own rules, she's not allowed to be on the trail. She doesn't play golf. So I don't understand why I'm paying a family trail fee. And furthermore, Dan, before you go into that, the participation fund, and I'm sorry to go on, but and everyone in this room who is married and a club member is one slip disc away from being in a situation we're in. And the participation fund was, when I was on the golf committee and the chair of the golf committee and on the board, it was separate and apart from the general revenues of the club. It was managed by the Club Pro and by the head of the Men's Association and the Women's Association. And it went for three purposes. It paid a tip to the bad guys outside. It paid for the gin system, and it subsidized the events that were sponsored by the Men's and Women's Association. If it wasn't all used, there was a balance that was carried forward to the next year. I think what's happened over the last couple of years is that it's been absorbed into the general revenues of the club and being used for other purposes. It's been recharacterized. I don't think that's fair at all to my wife and myself. She cannot participate in any golf activities. And that was the purpose of the participation fund. So I want to know, watching the American Revolution, why this isn't taxation without representation.
Wow, I didn't know we had the American Revolution going on, but okay. First of all, just a couple of things. Number one, when I joined East Point 10 years, so you and I have different experiences. When I joined East Point 10 years ago, 11 years ago, as a family, my wife doesn't play golf either, but I've always paid the participation fund for 11 years. And I've always, because that's what it said in my membership agreement. It said in my membership agreement, if I am married, and at the time it was if I lived here, now it's everybody. If I lived here and I was married, I had to join as a family, regardless of whether my wife played or my husband played or whatever played, I had to be a family. And along with that was a family participation fee. And along with that was a family trail fee or a cart fee. Now, what happened, I can tell you what happened, because we dug into it 2 years ago. People would call and say, my wife doesn't play golf. And our employees took it upon themselves to say, okay, you're good. And some people at the time that had ruling authority or governing authority went along with it. Well, guess what? Dopey over here didn't know you could make that telephone call, wouldn't have made that telephone call, didn't make the telephone call, and I paid it all the time. So experiences were different, but the rules never changed. It wasn't a rule. It was a thing that happened if you knew who to call. So I think we'll probably talk about, and I don't know. I can't tell you whether we will or won't talk about the participation fee because I know last year we did. But as far as the trail fee and the annual cart fee, it's part of the membership of being a family membership of being married, which is a rule of East Point Country Club. If you are cohabitating or married, regardless of whether your spouse plays, you are a family member. So that's just a rule. Same rule, although there was a time where, and there are people that are grandfathered in, so that's key as well. We do have members on property that are married, but they got in when East Point Country Club was offering, if you were married and your wife or spouse, husband or spouse didn't play, that you could be single. A board grandfathered those members in, but that's not the case anymore. Now, I want to say it was 3 years ago that rule changed. And now if you are married and don't live here, same rules apply. Or if you are married and don't live here, same rules apply.
It's not working? Oh, I'm very happy to hear about the wonderful things we're doing inside the clubhouse. But I want to ask if we're checking first if there's mold in the walls and under the carpeting before we put new things down.
Can't tell the carpet until you pull it up. Here.
We have periodically done air testing in here when that has come up before, and we've never had any mold detected. We replaced the sealant on the roof, so we have a 10-year guarantee on the roof. We put all new air conditioning in for the entire building. So we had tested at that time and we didn't have a problem. So we haven't tested again since then, but I would, there's been no indication of any need or concern in that area. Oh, there's definitely smell from this carpet, I'm sure.
Hello, my name is Larry Putterman and I'm a non-resident member. I've been here a year. I don't know where this falls, but you're looking for additional members to play golf. But the valet starts at 10 o'clock. A lot of us come before 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, and we can't use the valet. And I've asked a number of you, and everybody seems to pass it by. But I'm telling you, when you go to other clubs, you pull up to the valet, they take your clubs, you go play golf. And instead of starting at 10 o'clock, I think that we should start at 8 o'clock and have the valet on to make sure that the golf members are taken care of. So I don't know who this falls under.
That would be, Mike, you want to take that one, please?
Thank you so much for that question. Yes, I will look into that right away, actually. We've talked with them back and forth about changing hours for the season anyways. This is just one more conversation we can add to that. So I will talk to them directly. Hold on just a second.
Good evening. I'm Art Weinstein. My questions are really financial. I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions, really short. Very first question is financial. why was it not presented to us on the website at least yesterday, just like the budget was? Why do we have to have been furnished it tonight as we walked in the door? I happened to come in here about quarter of, and so I look at it. So how many questions do I have? Probably too many, in the sense that I'm an accountant. So therefore, I love numbers. So with that, here's the first question beside that one. Some of it's inconsistent with what was said. For instance, we talked about the food and beverage, the loss being last fiscal year, 1.4. This fiscal year, 11 months to date, and we said, well, October was probably going to make things a little bit worse, 2.4. Of that, cost of sales was 1,000,003. Then we look at the budget. And the budget says cost of sales, 800,000. What's the loss next year for the budget? Without my glasses, it's 1.8. And so therefore, that means that all the other costs remain pretty much constant because cost of sales dropped by some $600,000, which means that the very item called labor in all other costs must have remained the same.
No, labor did not remain the same. Matter of fact, labor dropped well over $200,000 in 26.
Well, then we don't see that in here.
Well, I didn't put it in there, but it's in there. We're not showing you the entire budget either.
I'm sure, and we don't need to see all the myriad of probably 200 lines of items.
I would agree with that.
It's probably that many. That's the really primary question, is why we can't be furnished with the actuals.
Because they are unaudited financials and we cannot put those out.
That's it. That's it.
It's not it, because you just presented the actuals, so therefore we saw that. Like we seen them yesterday.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
There he is. I knew you were here. I just couldn't find you.
Hi, I'm David Peltz. I just want to understand our tipping policy again. I had lunch here, had a great lunch, and out of 3 bills, I had a service charge of $5.50 and an ask for another gratuity. So is everybody getting like a extra service charge on their bill on every a meal, and then an ask for a gratuity, and also talk about the bag boys, just to refresh for the season?
Last year, we moved from tipping, no tipping to tipping optional. Okay, social members do pay a 20% service charge at all for food and beverage. There is a line on your chit that says if you want to tip more, you may. It's optional. You don't have to. It's just if members want to tip extra, they are allowed. They can. For social members only, there is a 20% service charge. That's not a tip. That's just a service charge. Anybody else? We have some questions from the Zoom really quickly. Let's see. They wanted to know, one question was they wanted to know if we surveyed the summer members and why some of them didn't join.
So yes, we did exit interviews with all of the people that participated in the summer preview member program. So in the summer, some people just come to play here. And we knew that when we set up the program, right? There are a number of people who just come because they want to play at a nice club in the summer, and that's part of the gig, right? So we allowed that. We had, I think it was 2 members who actually were interested in potentially buying properties here and joining. However, they wanted to buy their properties in an LLC. That's not allowed by the HOA. So those 2 members did not buy here and therefore did not join. We had a couple of members who just said they weren't quite ready. So we may still see them. They just 3 or 4 of them were still working. Really enjoyed their experience, very interested, don't live at clubs. And when they're ready, when they're done working and they're ready for a golf experience in retirement, we may still see them come. And then some just said they were driving from too far away. It wasn't a great fit. So we got some good data, but there wasn't really a theme that said, oh, our prices were too high or our course wasn't up to par or anything like that. There was not really a consistent theme across those who didn't join.
Another question from online. What would the pro forma loss on food and beverage look like for next fiscal year?
The loss budgeted for 2026 is $1.8 million, which is 16%.
What is the timeline for the halfway house and club decor renovation?
Like I said, the trailer is being delivered, I think, next week. We have to do some training of staff and some outfitting of it once it gets here and get the inventory sorted out. So it'll take a few weeks for that to happen. So it would be in December. We expect that definitely before the end of the year. As far as the clubhouse renovations, like I said, we are in the process of getting the bids and identifying those expenses. And then we will schedule around the event calendar. So when rooms are scheduled, obviously you can't be renovating them. So we need to work through that process. We hope to be able to do those as quickly as we can. The bigger projects like the locker rooms will not be done until the off season in the summertime. So more to come as we finalize those dates.
Any other questions?
Hi, my name is Ken Hyman. Mimi and I have been residents here and members of the club for just over 20 years. I want to ask a question and sort of a plea regarding pickleball here. Pickleball obviously is the fastest growing sport in the country. It's a major, major amenity, certainly at clubs all over the country. Here, the history has been that because the land that was available a few years ago was on the POA, Lake Village POA, and the HOA graciously paid for the changeover from the tennis courts to 6 pickleball courts. So since then, and I've been involved with many of those years of this involvement, I would ask that the club really take charge of pickleball. To this point, the POA, because they own it, and the country club can't quite come to agreements. It's a matter of who pays for what, who owns what, who's responsible for what. And over the years, the country club has actually not had any responsibility for it. It depends on what year we're in and what management we have. And until the country club takes ownership of this major amenity, we are not going to have that as a big part of our community. It's been mishandled, mismanaged continuously, and it's not necessarily the fault of just the POA, certainly not theirs, and certainly not just the country club. But until you get together with the POA and decide that that pickleball is part of this club, it is going to be a mess. And I would just ask that somebody really address this in all seriousness. Thank you.
Well, in addition to being your president, I'm the chair of the rackets committee. So we would welcome any dialogue that we could have with Lake Village to come to a different agreement or, come to a better agreement that would manage it better for everybody concerned. Any other questions? Yes.
Non-second floor. You don't have to worry about distributing in much different staff, command, consider It's raising our dues and we don't think we're gonna get bought. Those have to- Those that fit and those that don't.
So
And thank you, by the way, the rules and regs, we changed finally to say tipping is allowed. Even though you said that in the board, I think that's a good minutes, you never. Months ago.
yeah, we were a little bit behind in getting because used to be everything was in print, so you get it once a year. Now everything's a live document. So you got to keep up with once we vote on something, we've got to get it transferred over to the rules and regs right away. That being said, again, we, as a board, 2 years ago, or not this board, but the previous board, voted that in. And the reason being is that we are in a very competitive market. And I don't disagree with you that there's more than one way to do things. But again, as a board, we decided that optional tipping was the right way to go because quite frankly, all the other golf courses around us have optional tipping. Yes. You can, I'm telling you right now, you can give them, you absolutely positively can give them money. Even if they have a no tipping policy, they don't enforce it. There are a couple golf courses that enforce it, most don't. And I will tell you that just time out 1 second, time out. People, this is a competitive labor market. People will leave. We will lose the people that we have if we don't allow tipping. And that's just a fact. So again, it's right now we have the policy that we have. We can discuss it again as a board, but there's a reason behind it. There truly is.
So Emeritus Golf is a category that is available for downgrade only for members who meet the rule of 90, meaning their time as members plus their age equals 90, right? So for those folks who have been here for a while and are getting a bit older, they may want to downgrade to Emeritus Golf. This essentially is just a renaming and giving a little more benefit than what we previously had as sports golf, right? So we thought that sports golf might have been a little misnamed. And so we changed it to Emeritus Golf and we expanded a little bit some of the golf provisions that were available. So it is a standard. It is, when you ask about it being monitored, you downgrade to Emeritus Golf at the end or the beginning of a year. So it's no different than, joining or changing your status for some other reason. So once you are in regular full golf, right, whether it's family or individual, if you meet the rule of 90 and you choose to downgrade, that is done when you are notifying the club that you're continuing your membership or you're changing your membership. It is at that point that you can downgrade to Emeritus, and then you are Emeritus from that point forward.
No, you're allowed to play 26 times in 26 years. 26 years, 30. How is that being monitored? And I was told that they are being charged $400 in full membership. And there's an assumption that they can play on men's days. And they don't restrict that one of the 26.
So they're allowed to play. I would have to go back and look at the very specifics of it, but I think it's 26 times in the year. So it's not in.
No, that's wrong.
In the season, in the membership, in the season or in the membership year, yes. Yeah, and it is monitored by the pro shop. So Emeritus has a flag on it in the pro shop. So the pro shop knows if we have Emeritus members playing in certain tea time or requesting certain tea times or not, and it is monitored by the pro shop.
They can use that as one of their.
It-
rights.
It can be, certainly, yeah. There's no restriction to be playing for Men's or Women's Day. It just is a selection of, we are not driving where those 26 are being used. That is at the discretion of the member. It is a total number of rounds played, not when they're played.
Last one.
And it is monitored.
One question. I think it was asked about what's on your dues bill, but the capital versus operating, when membership, a new membership, is that allocated to capital or is it allocated to operating?
You mean initiation fee?
Initiation fee, yes.
So initiation fees are at the discretion of the club on an annual basis to decide how initiation fees are going to be used. Many clubs have either a percentage or a flat dollar amount that they assign to operations. Going forward, how we have budgeted is the initiation fees are strictly for capital. Unfortunately, the last 2 years, because we had operating losses, rather than pass that loss onto the golf members, because it would have been the golf members that would have had to have covered that, the board made a decision to allocate those funds out of initiation.
So they
fees.
they will be used at the discretion of the board for operations.
But there is no reason based on our budget to say at this point in time that those funds would be used for anything other
There's no
than.
mystery. There's no mystery in the question. I'm just trying to get to the point where we build up enough capital to fund these projects that Lou has mentioned. I'm all for it. I'd love to see them happen sooner than later. My concern is that the capital account is being depleted because it's been used for operations. I'd like to see the capital account build up as much as it could be.
The budget?
So that's the essence of my question. I'm not trying to
No,
poke
but the
holes in
budget-
what you're saying.
The budget for the current year, for our upcoming year, has that no initiation fees would be utilized for operations. Long-range planning has up to 2028 or 2029, that all initiation fees that we expect to get and increases that we will have in initiation fees go strictly to capital. Our long-range planning has committed that all of the initiation fees would be going towards capital.
Mike, if you look at where
Correct.
we're on track for this year, you can see that our operational money, where we're at right now, unless something, really funky happens in October, which nobody can say. Right now, we're ahead of the game. So there's nothing to show, there's nothing to say that we would have to go into any capital, just time out, my turn. That we would have to go into any sort of capital, right? So this year, good, next year's budget, same way.
Right.
So the answer to the question is, hopefully, unless something strange happens, hopefully, no, we're not gonna have to touch any capital allocated money to cover operations. And the proof is on the slides that you saw.
The whole issue really amounts to what the general manager Mike said about having an expense problem. I want to believe that we don't have an income problem, okay? And so that goes to the part of my question.
Right. And hopefully the slides prove that.
All right, so I am, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Clarify, the social member two initiation fee of, I believe, 10,000, that goes just to capital, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Not golf.
Yeah.
Related,
Right.
right, and that is separately, including the 10% of their dues that are allocated, that is only for non-golf. Like the bills, painting of the building.
Go ahead, Kelly.
I think I get to be the last to ask. Thank you all to the board, first of all, for everything you've done. You guys are fabulous. Cynthia, can you give an update on the administration building next to the range in terms of what's going to happen to it, the employees therein, et cetera?
Well, we haven't discussed that yet as a board. Have a board meeting tomorrow night. We hope to come up with some options for the HOA and the POAs, and we hope to communicate them, and we hope to come to a resolution that we can accommodate everyone.
Okay, well, I have the last question of the night. And that question is, when will the pool heater be fixed? The pool heater is on order and should be here in 5 to 7 days. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. Drive safe going home. And once again, thank you.
Great job. I got no time for bullshit. Come on, man.